This is a short video, and I know I promised we would move off the mature titles so we can do something else, but this is an exception. Because of personal life stuff, I recently been thinking about some sensitive subjects related to death, and after being inspired by a discussion I had on society's view on death, I went and dug up this old manga, which is Death Sweeper. I remember being entranced by it a couple years ago when I was running a blog and wanting to do a special review talking about 3 pieces of media discussing different takes on death, and I never found a third, so I dropped it. Since then, I just kind of read it casually on the side whenever I felt like it. But yeah, let's make up for the fact that I never reviewed it by briefly talking about this piece of art. And I don't think it's a piece of art, but it does have something interesting to say regardless. The story follows Okazaki, who, after witnessing the aftermath of his brother's suicide, joins up with a special cleaning company as a part-timer and helps with various jobs involving death most of the time. This is a good setup considering the main focus of the story is the messy consequences of death itself. Having it so our main character joins a special cleaning company is a good way to wheel the reader to these set pieces and explore all the different ways people may deal with grief or their views on death. It's also a good device for our character to develop, because a big aspect of the manga is how he and his mother cope with the death of his brother. Now, I don't think the characters aren't anything special, since the manga doesn't really want you to focus on them. Its focus will always be on how death and grief is handled, so the character development on the main character and his mother is more depicting on how 2 different people can find a cold comfort in the aftermath of the beloved one's passing. Because of that, I can't recommend this on the basis of being a good story, but I could on the basis of it being a good anti-suicide tool. This is gonna get a little personal, but the reason why I didn't upload a review last week, despite being on break, and why I've been streaming recently, is because I just have been in a dark place mentally again. People who are close to me know I have suicidal tendencies. And in fact, the only reason why this channel exists is to give myself a sense of self-purpose. But when I'm really in the dumps, one of the first things I do is read Death Sweeper. For me personally, it's a good reminder of why I shouldn't do it, and it could be the same for a lot of people. I'm not saying it's a good replacement for anything, because I think talking to your friends and seeking professional help should always be your first priority when you are depressed and suicidal, but I do think it can help. It's an amazing reminder of how death is, well, messy. And while I know some people will argue it idolizes society's view of suicide being narcissistic, I still think it has its place. Sorry if I got weirdly real and personal there, but that's generally how I view this manga and how it makes me feel. I still think you should read it, that even if you are well adjusted mentally, is a really good tool for showing how shit dealing with death is, and I think it has value on that aspect alone. I'm not giving it a score, but I recommend reading it if you ever get the time. It was never finished being scanned from what I've seen, so it only has 22 chapters right now, so it's a short commitment, so go read it. I'll be here next time with something less depressing. Well, less depressing than death anyway, which can be anything at all really. See you then.